This morning is all about the V word. And no, it's not that V word. It's values. That word that is tossed around so freely and easily, but it isn't always lived. Nations talk about their national values. Organizations stamp their core values on their website. And individuals tell you what their personal values are. But do we really understand and live by these values? YourDictionary.com says values are a person or society's beliefs and good behavior and what things are important, as well as a collection of guiding principles which one deems to be correct and desirable in life, especially regarding personal conduct. My guest today is a value-based educator, Izehi Anuge. Izehi is the MD of Shape a Child, the founder of Inspire Excellence, and the National Service Excellence Initiative. These are platforms that work with institutions to create value-based frameworks. As a value-based educator, Izehi believes that values are not just controlled or performed, but learned and lived continuously. She's also the author of children's book series called Captain Excellence. The books focus on triggering a value-based consciousness in children and adolescents. Welcome, Izehi.
Thank you.
It is really awesome to have you here with me today.
Thank you, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. I didn't know there was such a thing as a value-based educator.
Well,
So that is, we need more people like you to be doing this type of profession. So thank you so much. And I'm going to start with my first question. What are values to you?
Oh.
And does everyone have the same set of values?
wow. Okay. We will define values from an ethical point of view.
Okay.
Now, we will say values are the degree of importance we place on a thing with the aim of determining the standards of behavior and actions that we take on a daily basis or to determine the best way to live.
Right.
Yes.
And does everybody have the same set of values?
No.
Okay.
No. So what we have is we would probably say that we have collective values. Apart from personal values, you have collective values, and those are the values that will guide people within a system, a structure, like a family unit, an office, an organization. So yes, we have collective values aside from our personal and individual values.
Can you give me a few examples of collective values and personal values?
Okay, so as Nigerians, we should have what we would call our national values.
Okay.
A family should have their values. An organization should also have their values. So those are collective values. Now, as an individual, I should also have my own values that guide my decisions on a day-to-day basis.
What are your values?
Personally,
Yes.
love,
Okay.
freedom, liberty, service, and patriotism.
How easy was you reeled that off so easily? Did it take time for you to decide what your value? Did you
Yes.
choose those values and
Yes.
begin to live them?
Yes, yes.
But were there things that helped you get to that point of choosing what the values were?
Absolutely. Okay, so I would say we've gotten to the point in our society where we have to start to define what our values are.
Okay.
And I start to talk to people. When I speak with people, I always say to them, ensure that you set your values based on goals.
Right.
Yes.
Values based on goals.
Yes, it's usually easier, and it helps you determine what values are critical or important for that time and season in your life to ensure you maximize, that season, you thrive and you excel within that season. So I'll give you an example. Within a family unit, the family will have what their values are.
As a family.
Yes. Okay. But for the children, they have academic goals. So you have to set values around attaining success in their academics. So diligence, focus.
So diligence is a value.
It is a value.
Focus is a value.
It is a value.
Wow.
Because remember, we defined it as the degree of importance you place on a thing to determine your standards of behavior.
Okay.
So if you're going to, when diligence is your value, you now define the ethical standards that will support diligence.
When you say ethical standards, what do you mean?
Okay. Ethical standards, what are they? Standards of moral standards of our behaviors, right?
Moral codes of conduct.
Yes, our code of conduct, yes. So I say, for my child to attain academic excellence, he has to be diligent. You now define ethical standards to support diligence. So you say, every time we're giving homework, we do our homework no later than 5 hours before delivery. We do it with precision. We are focused when we do it. We're not
distracted.
Absolutely. We wake up 10 hours before time if we're going to deliver at a certain time. So you have to set, ethical standards to support the value of diligence.
So it's all very, very deliberate.
You have to be very deliberate.
So if we were going to look at it from the perspective of, one, our nation, Nigeria.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then within our nation, Nigeria, we now have organizations that feed into the nation.
Yeah.
Within those organizations, we now have families that make up these organizations and feed into the nation.
Yes.
Within the families, you have individuals. So can we maybe even start from Nigeria? If we were going to define Nigeria's values, and mind you, whenever I think of Nigeria's values, I think of the national anthem and the pledge. So if we're going to define Nigerians' values, what would it be?
I guess we should sing the anthem, or we should say the pledge, recite the pledge.
I don't remember the anthem. Do you remember the anthem word for word?
I do remember them. All right, so I'm going to try. If I miss the lines, it's not because I don't know them. Okay, so I'll say the pledge. I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful,
loyal, and honest.
So faithfulness is a value.
Faithfulness is a value.
Loyalty is a value.
Is a value.
To serve. Service is a value.
Okay.
Nigeria with heart and might, love is a value.
Right. So
to defend her unity is a value. Uphold her honor and glory is a value. Glory is a value. So help me God.
Wow.
So you take those ones out and then you have 5, 6 values. First of all, take our anthem, pick out certain values. Then, so you put that, so that is, the core. That's what every Nigerian should embody, right? Then you now say to yourself, as Nigerians, what do we want to achieve within the next 20, 50, 60 years? Because now we've now set ourselves that, honor, love, service, faith, unity.
Yes.
Those are the core of what a Nigerian should be. So as this group of people driven by this set of values, we've defined the ethical standards to support service. So if we're defining the ethical standards to support service, we're going to say to ourselves that in every community, we do not ignore the things that don't concern us.
I see.
Yes.
Unity.
Unity.
Be your brother's keeper.
Wherever we go, we are going to appoint the best people for the job and not the people that we know.
I see.
Things like that.
Yes.
So you start to define them, by line, and it's not an individual effort, it's actually a collective effort. So you're going to have people you consider custodians of those values that will come together and then now start to, break down the nitty-gritty of the definition, the ethical standards that will support those values.
Wow.
Yes.
And then when you then take this into organizations talk about their core values. And the members of that organization are supposed to live by those core values.
Yes, for their organization.
For their organization.
Absolutely, yes.
But in an ideal world, it should feed into the nation's values?
Yes, well, generally, like if you look at Japan, I don't know if you've researched a lot about Japan. You go to Japan and there's a behavior that they all have.
Yes, very true.
I think the first guest, someone said, you see someone from a particular company and you know that, they come from that.
Yes, that's company. Their value, yes.
Yes, because it's already imbibed in them through the society, it has become part of their culture. So those things, the national values are inherent in them. Now, when you now go to individual organizations, you will see elements of those core values, right, in the individual. But they will have their organization's core values because, again, values should be driven by goals.
Yes, you said.
Yes. So you're trying to achieve certain goals, and now those goals will require certain values and certain ethical standards to support those goals.
Okay. So now, to one of the key questions I had, what has changed? Because the world we live in today, it's almost like we don't have values. So let me even backtrack. Is there such a thing as bad values?
I usually don't like the word bad.
Okay.
I like the word beneficial and non-beneficial.
Okay.
Because again, it's about aligning everything with a goal. There must be a purpose for everything that you do. You just don't do things because it's ideal, good or bad. What is really good, or bad? Is it beneficial? Because what I consider bad, you might consider good. What you consider good, I might consider bad.
Very true.
So it's about it being beneficial and focus on a certain outcome.
Right.
So,
beneficial and focus.
Yes, beneficial. What's the benefit to the individual? Because, they're not good or bad values. They're just values that serve people's purpose per time.
I see. So do they change?
Of course. We can't have the same. For some people, so that's why values are grouped. They are grouped per time, per season, per goal. And certain ones remain fixed. The national values,
they ideally should remain fixed.
Yes, it should remain fixed. Family values, those values are quite fixed. In our family, we are loyal. So you find a family where you have children and the parents, and everybody there is loyal because they've inculcated that value of loyal. It has become part of their culture, and it will take a lot to cause them to waver. From loyalty. Yes. So when we're talking about what were we talking about again? We're talking about good or bad values. So they're just beneficial or not beneficial values. That's just all we have. Beneficial or not beneficial.
And when you were talking about the family values, I remember when adults would normally say, especially when their child is going abroad to study, don't forget whose child you are. My father used to say that to us a lot. My mother used to say that to us a lot. And interestingly, the values that you're referencing in families, you can usually see within a family.
Absolutely.
That they have very similar values.
Absolutely.
But the world has changed.
Absolutely.
We're in the technology age. There is an element of fast money and quick money. People behave differently. Younger children or the younger generations are more fearless. What has changed? How can we align today's values with the world we live in, or rather, the past values, today's values, and the world we live in today?
What has changed? I think I'll first of all answer that. Access to information is coming, at speed of light. There's more access to information, and the world has become a small village now. You're not, everything is in your face, everything, and all that. And the unfortunate thing is that the Western world, where we are with regards to our development, is not quite the same as where the Western world actually is.
I see.
So there's been a miscommunication between one generation, a gap, and the next generation, and we cannot remove the socioeconomic or sociopolitical factors, right? And now there's the need for us to create a framework.
Right.
A proper framework to embed or key individuals into, so that we're clear about the values that are beneficial to the 21st century child.
I see. So that framework, is it a national framework or a family-based framework?
So because, again, we have different groups of values. There should be a national one, there should be a family one, there should be one for education, there should be a framework for every value, so that, children from early years are well keyed into a structured set of values that are relevant for the 21st century, because there are some skills and values or some ethical standards and behaviors that are not ideal for the 21st century. So we have to make sure that we create a framework and that we are more deliberate.
What is a framework?
Okay, it's a structure. Okay. What is a structure? Okay, let's look at an engineering building, right? Okay. So I can only think of a crane, and then you now start to lay a framework. What are our values? You define the values, define the ethical standards that support the values, define the custodians of the values, define the method that it's going to be executed. Well, then you now define the ethical standards that will support the values.
I want to simplify this.
Yes.
A family of 4.
Okay.
Mother, father, in fact, a family of 5, mother, father, 3 children,
Yeah.
1 nanny, 1 driver. So a family of 7.
7.
How do you design a framework for that family?
That will be telling you the trick of my trade.
Because a lot of our listeners need to be able to connect this to their nuclear family.
Yes.
Because if we're saying the nuclear family has to align in reality with the nation's values, where do we even start from?
With national values, like I said.
With the nuclear, if we're starting with the nuclear family,
Yes.
what do we even do as individuals within that family? How easy is it? Especially if it's a family where maybe mommy and daddy had their kids very late and their set of values are completely different.
Yeah.
Where do they even begin to build this framework?
Okay, so I think I will just say a bit, about that. You first of all decide what you want to add, what in this season, in 21st century, which is our reality. We need to start becoming a bit more deliberate and clear about what we are trying to do and why we are trying to do those things. We just don't set values. I want you to be honest. I want you to be kind. Why? There's always a why, because the why will drive the how.
Right.
It will drive the importance of why you are doing that thing. So it will also drive the how, the who, the when, the what. So it's important that we focus on asking the question, why are we setting these values? Are we trying to look good for people? Or are we actually trying to achieve something? Are we trying to create the very best children, the most productive children? What do we want? What do we want? A good name is still better than riches any day, regardless of the season, the time, the generation. Now, that is our family values, integrity. We're going to keep that aside. Why do you want to have integrity? Because we're going to raise leaders for the society. What qualities will a leader have? So I continue to go back to, why are you defining your values? Why are you choosing those values? What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to accomplish? They say, when you do not know the use of a thing, abuse is inevitable.
I see.
So if you do not know why you're setting values, you're going to be all over the place. It's going to be, okay, just be good. You think that it is the responsibility of the church. Then you blame the society. And while all of these things definitely will influence or speak to the core, the first institution, which is the family still has the major role, in creating that framework. So from the family unit, you're coming together, you ask, why are we doing what we are doing? What type of children do we want to raise? Why do we want to raise them? What is the goal for their academic journey?
Yes.
For how long? What values are we going to set to ensure that they are aligned? With our staff, I call the driver and the nanny, I call them collaborators.
Yes.
Yes. They are collaborators. How do we key them into this framework? Why? And that means that there's also that level of commitment that you have to ensure that whomsoever you're bringing into your home is aligned with those values. And they understand your own ethical standards that support those values. Because if I define honesty for you and you define honesty for me, you find that the lines are blurred, yet they are separated. True. But in your eyes, they're really clear or they're really blurred. From my own point of view, they could be really clear and also really blurred. So there's that need to, first of all, set a goal.
You have to first set a goal.
Yes. Set your family goals.
Set your family goals.
Yes. Don't set your values without your goals.
Don't set your values without your goals.
Yes. So make sure you have goals. Make sure you know why you're setting those values. Understand the time and season that is upon us, the reality and the time of the time and season upon us. You have to be adaptable. You must be adaptable. You have to factor in the fact that you are not growing up. 2000, this is 2020, 2021. The 2021 child is not growing up in 1965. His reality is different.
His reality is different.
So, we say, when I was young, it's eye. We used to talk. No, you don't use eye. I'm going to ask you, Mommy, why is your eye twitching?
Very true.
Embarrass you, like, really, When I was growing up, you couldn't go and eat plantain in anybody's house. When you go out, you stay there. When we get home, we eat. But, you know, a slap would correct you. But now you slap a child, hey, you've abused that child. You understand what I mean? So you have to be abreast with the reality of today and start to now set values. We need to be adaptable, adapt to the reality. Change is constant, and there's nothing wrong or there's nothing to be afraid of when change is coming upon us. We now need to ask ourselves, how do we become responsible custodians of those values? What do we now need to do? We can't afford to discuss values from the casual run of the mill, because we are raising leaders and we are raising followers, we are raising citizens, we are raising nations every time, you know, we come together as a family. You know, these are the people who are going to churn out and put into the society, and they will become our leaders, our representative globally. So we need to be a bit more deliberate and realize that it's now time for us to adapt and create that framework where values-based education and living and lifestyle will be embedded into from the curriculum, from, you know, our anthem, you know, from everything that we do. We now have to be a bit really deliberate at creating that framework based on goals.
That has been a lot in a short timeline. And if I was going to summarize it, my biggest takeaway, everything has been my takeaway, but my biggest takeaway would be, number one, you have to define what your goals are.
Absolutely.
And your goals have to then help you define what your values are.
Values that will be important, your first 5 or 10 key values.
And then you have to understand the why.
Yes.
You have to have the ethical code of conduct.
Yes.
You have
the
to design
ethical standards
framework.
to support.
The
now,
ethical standards
all of the
to
things we are
support.
talking about, you're already developing a framework.
Right.
That is the framework.
That is the framework. So every family needs to go back and redefine what their framework is.
Yes.
That's the only way to move forward.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here with us
Thank
today.
you for having me.
It has been it has been quite intense and extremely valuable.
Thank you.
Because we're at a crossroads as a nation right now.
Yeah.
And this is time for us to go back as individuals and look at what our values are.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So in a few minutes, John, Helen and myself will be wrapping up the show. And I can't wait for the wrap up, because this has been a really intense, extremely useful, extremely thought-provoking few minutes. So please stay with us for a few more minutes whilst we wrap up the show. Thank you.